Perek Shvi Mishnah Aleph. The seventh Perek is a short Perek. It only has 4 Mishnayos, but it's a very, very important one. It's known as Klal Gadol, and it sets out in the first Mishnah some very important Yesodos, some very important rules regarding Chiyuvim, either for B'mezid or B'shogeg on Shabbos, as we will in Mitzvah discuss. And the second Mishnah discusses all the Avos Melachot. It lists the 39 Avos Melachos. And then the third and fourth is a related theme of a certain klolos regarding Hotzah. And then the theme of Hotzah continues all the way through pretty much until the 11th Perek. So, the Mishnah begins. Klal Gadol Omru B'Shabbos. Chazal said that there is an important rule regarding Shabbos. Interestingly, although later in the Mesechta, the first Mishnah of the 12th Perek, it uses the lashon of Zeh HaKlal, it doesn't call it a Klal Gadol. Why is it Klal Gadol over here? So the Gemara explains because of the Chumrah, because of the severity, the serious, the importance of Shabbos. But specifically in this Perek, it calls it Klal Gadol, and not elsewhere in Shabbos, because here we're talking about the things which you need a kapara. You have violated Shabbos, and therefore you need some sort of atonement for transgressing Shabbos, and therefore it calls it Klal Gadol, given to stress the importance and the kedusha of Shabbos, which has been violated and needs a kapara. Therefore it calls it Klal Gadol. So Klal Gadol Omru Shabbos. Chazal said an important rule regarding Shabbos. Kol hashecheach ikka Shabbos. Anyone who forgets the principle, the whole concept of Shabbos, v'osa melachos harbe b'shabbosos harbe, and he does many melachos on many Shabbos, ein chayev ela chatos achas. He only has to bring one chatos. So this first category, there are going to be 3 categories in this Mishnah, but this first category is talking about a person who has forgotten the whole concept of Shabbos. And he, even though he may have transgressed many melachos over many years of Chilul Shabbos, he would only ever bring one chatos for a shogeg. Of course, if a person violated Shabbos b'mezid and with hasra, then it's chayav misas beistin, it's chayav skila. If he was without hasra, then it would only be chayav kores, but it's still, of course, a chiyuv. But we're talking about bring a korban chatas if he did it b'shogeg, and therefore the first principle is the fellow forgot Ikka Shabbos. He forgot the whole concept of Shabbos. The Gemara in Samach Ches on the base discusses what exactly does that mean. Does it mean he never ever knew about it in the first place? Or does it mean that he once knew about the principle of Shabbos, but he simply forgot about it? And later it came to his awareness that there was a concept of Shabbos. So the Gemara debates that. But interestingly, what the Mishnah therefore says is if you have a person who is shecheach ikka Shabbos and has spent months and years, let's say, transgressing Shabbos, he will only bring one chi of chatos for his shogeg, because his omission really is one. His omission is that he forgot the concept of Shabbos, and therefore he'll bring one chi of chatos. Now, according to the opinion which says that he once knew about Shabbos, but he was now shechech, he forgot about Shabbos, for him, he would have to bring an atonement because he once knew about it, and therefore to some degree his error was avoidable. Masha'enkein, if a person never ever knew about it, according to this opinion, then he wouldn't have to have any kapara, any atonement whatsoever. But according to the second opinion, which says that he never knew about Shabbos bichlal, ever in his life, what exactly should he have done? Why has he got to bring atonement? What did he do wrong? So you've got to explain that ignorance is not considered a defense in the law, if you like. That he shouldn't have, it's not excusable. He should have found some time to learn about it. He should have hired a Rebbe to tutor him, but ignorance is not a good enough law. So even according to the second opinion, he would have to bring, even if he never knew about Shabbos in the first place. Okay, so the first category is someone never knew about the principle, the ikka, the concept of Shabbos. He did many melachos over many Shabbos. He would only bring one chi of chatas for this error of not being aware of Shabbos, the principle of Shabbos. Category number 2, hayodea ikka Shabbos. A person did know, he was well aware of the concept of Shabbos. V'osa melachos harbe b'shabbos harbe, and he did many melachos, many of the 39 melachos b'shabbos harbe, on many Shabbos. Chayev al kol Shabbos v'Shabbos. Now this person is going to be chayev I'll call Shabbos for Shabbos. Now the principle over here is, he forgot that today was Shabbos. Now let's give an example. A person, let's say, went on a mission. He was exploring in the North Pole, and he was going there to do some reading, also some scientific research, and he messed up with his luach. And he thought that every Tuesday Lamashal was Shabbos, and he didn't realize that when the real Shabbos was Shabbos, he didn't realize it was Shabbos. So he was there for 3 months. And every single Shabbos, he didn't realize it was Shabbos. He thought it was a different day of the week. So he did many melachas for many Shabbos for 3 months, let's say. So the halacha is, his omission was, he didn't know today was Shabbos. He was aware of the principle of Shabbos. He certainly knew all the halachas, but he just didn't know today was Shabbos. So the halacha is that even though he did many melachas on a Shabbos, he washed and he schita and libun and bishul and boire and many of the melachas, he would only bring one chatos for the omission of not being aware that today is Shabbos. If he did this several weeks in a row, say 10 weeks in a row, so then he would bring 10 carbon chatos. Why? Because you only bring one for each Shabbos. It's that lack of awareness that today was Shabbos. Fine. That's the end of the second category. What about the third category? Hayodea shehu Shabbos. A person knew that today was Shabbos. V'osa melachos harbe b'Shabbos harbe. But he didn't know that a certain activity was prohibited on Shabbos. He didn't know that there was a thing, for example, of boire. He didn't know there's a thing that you're not allowed to, you've got to select, and it's got to be the good from the bad, immediately, biyad, etc., etc. And he wasn't aware of it. And he did many violations of the issa, of the melacha of boire on Shabbos. So long as it all stems from one melacha, he would only bring one chiyuv chatos for violation of that melacha. If he did it repeatedly on many Shabboses, so then the Mishnah says he would bring b'Shabbos harbe chayv al kol av melacha. So then he would only bring still one chiyuv chatos. Okay. Says the Bar Tanura, Hayodeh shu Shabbos v'osa melachas harbe, shelo yoda shemelachas halalu asuros. He didn't know this melacha was asa, v'osaon kama pa'omim b'kama Shabboses. He didn't know that it was asa, let's say bora, and he did it many times on many Shabboses. Chayiv al kol av melacha chatas achas. He's only going to be chayiv once. And even though he did this ma'aser bora repeatedly over many Shabboses, he's only going to be considered once, because there was no yediyah, there was no awareness being time between them. Fine. What about the previous section? The previous section, this guy in the North Pole, he was there for 3 months. Now, there was an awareness of Shabbos. What about between hand there was a yediyah? So the Bar Tanura says in the previous Mishnah, in the previous Chelek, he says, even though also there was no yediyah, he didn't sort of fix up his calendar previously. We say that the days in between is considered yediyah. It's impossible this guy never knew it was Shabbos. So therefore, in category 2, even though he, let's say for 10 weeks straight, he messed up and he broke Shabbos, he got his dates wrong, he's going to have to bring a carbon chatos for each Shabbos that he violated. And in between, the days are considered the yediyah to make him chayav a different chatos on each Shabbos. Masha'inkan over here, this guy never knew the melacha of boreh, for example. He never knew a certain melacha, and he did it for many weeks on end. He'll have to bring one chatos for that melacha, and that's it. Because the days in between are not considered yediyah, because it's all considered lo noda. He didn't know about this melacha. Okay. Finishes the Mishnah. Ha'oiseh melachas harbe me'ein melach achas ein nechayev elechatas achas. If a person did many melachas, which were all under this category of this one melacha, for example, we know that each av melacha, each of the 39 avos melachas has a tolda. Some of them have many toldas. So if a person did many toldas under one av, then he's still going to be chayiv one chatos, because they all stem from the same av melacha. Masha'en kein, if he did toldas from different avos melachas, then he'd have to bring 2 chatos, or as many as he did, because each av melacha is the primary sort of stem to which you go back to. So just to summarize our Mishnah, the Mishnah discusses 3 categories of omissions on Shabbos. The first one is that he just wasn't aware of the whole principle of Shabbos. The Gemara gives example, for example, of a tinuk shenishba, of a young child who was captured by Gentiles. He grew up among them. He never knew about the principle of Shabbos. Many poskim say that unfortunately Jews who are irreligious, who are not yet religious, and have no awareness, have got the status of a tinuk shenishba. It's not keeping Shabbos out of any animosity, but rather just due to ignorance. And therefore the first category is someone who doesn't know about the principle of Shabbos, and he will only ever bring one chiyuv chatas. Even though his chilul Shabbos may have involved many melachos over many years, he will only bring one chiyuv chatas because his mission is the awareness of Shabbos. Category 2 is that he wasn't aware that today is Shabbos. He thought today was Tuesday. And therefore he brings one chiyuv chatos per Shabbos that he violated, because his mission was today was Shabbos. And if he did this over a stretch of 10 weeks, he brings 10 chiyuv chatos, 10 carbon chatos. The third category is that a person didn't know that a certain melacha is osa, and therefore he would bring one chatos when he's aware, when he's taught that this melacha is osa. And even though he may have done this for many, many years on end, but he would still bring only one chatos when he has this awareness that this melacha is prohibited. And indeed, concludes in the Mishnah, that any tolda which a person does under this melacha, it's all considered included in this melacha. So if a person did many toldas under one av, then he would only bring one chatas. If, however, he did different toldas, let's say he did 3 toldas under 3 separate avos melachas, then he would bring three chatos. That is the end of the first Mishnah of Perek Zayin.